Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be starting our Playing France Without Playing France series by doing the most exploitative pushed start in Victoria 3 that is possible whatsoever, that allows you to annex roughly half the map in, 20, 30 years time. It is insanely strong, and by strong, it's not even really appropriate to call it strong, and that is going to be the formation of Turtle Island as a country that has European culture. Just to kind of clarify, what is the Turtle Island thing real quick? It is a mechanic that is made for the American territory, which is going to allow them to annex a bunch of the other Native American territories. And the way it works is, if you're in North America, what you can do is you can annex other people in North America. This is the gross oversimplification. Other people in North America, if you share a culture group with them. If we take a look at the Indian Territory, we will see that we have indigenous North American, indigenous American, and indigenous American and indigenous North American. So we'll be able to annex all these guys. That is the idea behind the journal entry for the nation of Turtle Island. What people have been doing is they've been playing as Paraguay, and then they've been moving their capital, moving their nation all the way over to North America, and they've been doing this with the culture Guarani, which has indigenous American heritage, which is what you need in order to spawn this. However, whenever you annex another person using the Turtle Island journal entry, you acquire all the cultures associated, and if we take a look, they also have Plantanean, which has European heritage. So now, using the journal entry, you can annex anyone with European heritage at no cost to yourself, such as, maybe the United States, which also has European heritage. And then you could also do Mexico. And then, you can do Russia, because Russia is in North America. And so this is the way of doing it. Most people have been doing Paraguay. However, the dark wizards in my Discord have been cooking up the most optimal way of doing that, which is actually to start as France and then do the Turtle Island formation by going in through Canada. Now, secondarily, if you're trying to maximize GDP, kind of in the super late game, Ching is probably better than France, but we're going to be showing it off as France, and in doing so, we will not be playing France. We'll be playing Turtle Island. Now, in order to do this strat, we're only going to cover two things we're going to do as France, which is, first, we are going to just straight away research nationalism, because you need this in order to gain access to the journal entries. Second, we are going to conquer Greenland, and then we are also going to conquer several provinces from the Hudson Bay Company, most importantly, Manitoba, who we will be releasing, and then we will finish colonizing this. Other than that, we're just going to play super standard as France. It really doesn't matter how effectively we play, so we're going to kind of skip through that. Alright, so this part seems to have changed in the latest patch, is that even if we take Manitoba, the Canadian Hudson Bay Company will still have a claim on it, and we will be unable to colonize. We have to finish colonization of this state in order to be able to execute the strategy, so what we're going to do is we're just going to let Canada take it. But in terms of other things we've been doing, we've been just kind of been doing normal eco-up type of stuff with decently. We don't really care if we run up a huge amount of debt, because we're just going to erase it all anyways. So we could probably build more construction. We've also taken Greenland, and we've done this so that later it will be easier for us to annex all of China, because what this does is their treaty port or their market center is here, and if we take the adjacent states out from it, they completely lose access to everything, which is going to significantly undermine the nation and make it more likely to break apart. Alright, so we get the territories we need. We're not going to be executing the plan just yet, because we're almost done with Water Tube Boiler. We're going to wait for it to finish, because we are going to be released playing as a country, and anytime you do that, what ends up happening is that the country will be, get whatever tech you have, but we are going to release Greenland. We are going to release them as a subject country, and then we are going to feed them Quebec and Ontario through the diplomatic relations. And so we will come in here, Overlord Actions, I believe we can just grant them the state. We are going to grant them, we are going to just select, and we're going to grant them Quebec. They will get Quebec, and then we are going to grant a new little territory here. Can we grant, where's grant state? We are going to select, again, Ontario here. And now, as the strategy requires, they are now inside of North America, right? And so we can feed countries, states, as soon as they become our subjects, to put them in North America and then annex them once they're in North America. This is one of the reasons why we did this to Qing, is because it makes it easier to subjugate them later, so that we can feed them territory into North America and use that to annex them. Alright, so we now have water tube boiler, so we're ready to go. We're going to first grant independence to Greenland, because Greenland needs to be free. We are going to come in the diplomacy tab and also release and play as metis. Let's just make sure Greenland's free. Okay, they are. And we are going to release play as a metis, which is keyly going to share a heritage trait in terms of cultural trait. It is going to share indigenous American heritage. It is going to share this heritage with Greenland. If we take a look here, in the Green Island, we'll have indigenous American heritage as well. So they share a trait here. And this is the key thing, because what we are going to be doing is we are going to be coming into the journal entry. We're going to be looking at this and wondering why it's not already active, except for you just have to wait a tick. And then once we wait a tick, we'll be able to proclaim Turtle Island. From proclaiming Turtle Island, we'll see that we have this interaction, offer confederation. Basically, the country that is targeting has to be inside North America, and it has to not be controlled by a player. Greenland not controlled by a player. Greenland is not a subject, that's why we released it. And any primary cultures, in terms of the cultural trait, needs to be it needs to share a heritage trait with any primary culture in Turtle Island. And so we share now the North American one, but also what's going to happen is when we offer the Confederation, we will inherit all of their cultures. In the case of Greenland, Greenland not only has Inuit, which we share a heritage trait with them, but also it has Danish, which has European heritage. And so European heritage, once we acquire it, we'll share with a whole bunch of people. And so what we need to do in order to proc this event is finally, we need the final condition. Relations need to be greater than or equal to 25. So we're just going to come in here. We're going to improve relations with Greenland. We already have good relations with the French. And so we're just going to improve relations with Greenland until we get to plus 25. Alright, we caught a brief snag when Greenland rolled antagonistic and started damaging relations, but fortunately we had enough money to bankroll them as well, so we will get the relations to tick up to the 25 we need. And now you see, it now allows us to offer confederation. And so we're going to offer confederation to Greenland. It will always target the biggest power, and so it will become a primary, and so it will annex them. And then Danish will become a primary culture of Turtle Island. Now that we have Danish as a primary culture of Turtle Island, now we share a culture with some other people, like namely France. And so now we will annex the French Republic, and French will become a primary culture of Turtle Island. We are not changing our primary culture, we are acquiring primary cultures. It's called primary culture maxing. And so by doing this, we will be able to annex anyone who is in North America. So we're going to start improving relations with Great Britain as well. We're going to do the USA first. Now it's important to recognize there's an order of operations which is meaningful here, which is that we need to become a GP, for example, here, and this needs to resolve. We need to become a GP if we want to maintain access over all of Britain's subjects when we annex them. And so we do not want to trigger the Turtle Island Confederation earlier, and we don't want to organize the tribes because then we lose access to offer confederation. We do not want to trigger it earlier by annexing Great Britain next. And so what we're going to do is we're going to annex the USA next, and we're also going to improve relations with Russia once we get enough diplo, or once we get an interest that's shared with them. I suppose we can declare some interests all around the world now. It's not too big a deal. And so we will get interest with Russia, improve relations with them, and look to annex them as well. But yeah, so far, we're kind of at normal starting power, or really close to what we started with, playing as France, but obviously it's about to turn up. Alright, well, we built a port up in, Quebec so that we could get market access, but it's really not going to matter because you know who also has ports? The United States of America. We now have over 25 relations with them, so why don't we just offer them, we just say to them, hey, you can sit with us. We offer them confederation, and hey, Dixie and the other one are also primary too now, and we annex them. We can, of course, release the Indian territory and then annex them using this relationship, because for offer confederation, they do have to not be the subject of another country and share a primary culture. We, of course, as cultured as we are, having all these cultures, can we not even highlight it in the tooltip? We still have the primary culture of Native American, which was our OG primary culture, but now we've annexed the USA. It is, by the way, 1845, and we have all of the USA and all of France. Now, just to be clear, the reason why we have this massive deficit is because we're basically getting nothing through income taxes and poll taxes, because nothing's incorporated. So we will work on incorporating some stuff. That way we can do it. But fortunately, since we have so many primary cultures, we are going to just be able to incorporate very, very quickly. We're going to start off kind of in the north over here, and in the states that we are building up in the France, and so let's just add a few more. We want to make sure that we are using up our bureaucracy to incorporate, and then this will give everyone access to our beautiful, beautiful institutions, which we inherited from the French, because we were initially released from the French. Now, the challenge we have here is we are an unrecognized major power, which normally would be trivial, but in 1.7, it's going to require a whole lot more stuff to get through. So what we're going to do is, I think we're going to just rush civilizing mission, which is going to allow us to become recognized much faster. This strategy, by the way, would be so much more explosive, except for Great Britain, who is like the best one to annex. They expelled our diplomats. Smart. They didn't want to get annexed instantly. They looked over across the shore, across the pond, and they're like, yo, USA dog, what happened? And then the USA is like, I don't know. It was just they just got me. And then Great Britain's like, you know what? Yeah. Alright, so unfortunately, Russia doesn't count anymore like it used to, because Alaska is now not a complete state, so we can't get Russia right off the bat, but we can get Mexico here, so we're going to offer them confederation, and we will assimilate them into our primary culture, which is going to be great. Just full annex for freezies, good dealsies, no big deal. We're working on Texas now, and anyone who is not in North America, we can feed them into North America, kind of through this Russia route, which is a little bit awkward because it's not fully colonized. I think that it's maybe possible to feed them through Denmark into Scandinavia, into this type of thing, so subjugating Denmark, there's some value to this. We're going to start improving relations with them and be looking for any sort of diplo play that they might be in, which means we're going to want to put an interest in Scandinavia and Denmark. We've also gotten Persia as a subject. I'm not sure if we can just grant them a state here in the same way we used to be able to. We have to not be in a diplomatic play, but if we can just grant them a state in North America now with the new subject interactions, then we could just annex them straight away, and we don't have to do any of this like land bridge nonsense in order to get into North America through Russia or whatever. We finally found a play that Great Britain was engaged in, and we just joined on the same side of them to reset relations to genial, and they offered a trade agreement with us. Now we have a trade agreement. We still can't improve relations because they exiled our diplomats, but at the very least, they're willing to trade. Unfortunately, we can't just grant Persia land in our territory, so we can't just annex them immediately, and instead we have to either bridge through here or through here, so this is going to create a little bit of complications. We do have another situation where we have to give people as our subject in order to just be able to feed them, force feed them, really, territory until they're in North America, and to this end, what we're going to be doing with, I think, all of our wars, just about pretty much, is going to be annexing the smallest power. That is because ranking is calculated based off of a prestige threshold that is influenced by two things. Either the person's who's in the lead very highest prestige, which in this case is still the UK, we're just behind, or the average prestige. By annexing people from the bottom of the list, we can raise the average prestige quite a bit, and by doing this, we will get to the point where we can, the requirement of prestige in order to be above a minor power, and a minor power you can subjugate, will be higher and higher and higher. And so this is why we're doing this. We will also try and stay low infamy and do yo-yo sways, although I don't know how long we'll go at this, because, I mean, this is just a meme, right? You know, we have France, we have this. We couldn't get the UK immediately. We're currently getting better relations with them, but I'm not even sure that we want to get them immediately before we get to GPdom, because otherwise India is a little bit complicated because it's hard to break into their culture. I don't think you can break into their culture group. There's no shared overlapping cultures with the Indian culture groups such that you can just vassal feed them and then you will share a culture once they're in the United States. So it would be a lot easier if we could get India as a whole, which I'm not sure if we could do if we're just an unrecognized major power. Maybe this is big enough, in which case we'll see when we improve relations with the UK. It's also been pretty neat to watch how our income taxes are increasing basically in a linear way. To be fair, now they've been increasing for a while now, and it was a lot more robust, the kind of upticking line, but that is because we are currently incorporating still several territories, a lot of them incorporated in 2 years, but this is kind of our incorporation status, and as we finish incorporating, or as we incorporate more, this is going to increase our taxes, but it gives us some of the taxes. Like if you incorporate for a day, it will give you proportionally that amount of taxes, and so it's kind of neat to watch this go up in a linear fashion, and suddenly we're not losing like 250k anymore, even with like 100 construction or whatever. Okay, so in retrospect, annexing this bit of Borneo was a little bit of a mistake because we acquired kind of a bit of infamy, and this decreased our relations with the UK because the UK, of course, has an interest there. What we should have done is we should have probably just subjugated starting down this route. That way we could feed our subjects up into North America for the purposes of annexing them. Alright, so our ahead-of-time research finally kicks in. We have completed civilizing mission basically way before we would otherwise do it, because we want recognition. We'll, I guess, go for this now. But what we're going to be getting from civilizing mission is earning recognition. Now, I'm not sure how much progress we're going to have. We have a GDP per capita in the top 10, probably. We have a standard of living in the top 20, also probably. And we have literacy above 40, we do. And we have voting rights, and so means we're actually going to make a decent chunk of progress here, a tick, and so this will be pretty good for us. So once we tick all the way up, obviously we will be able to get full recognition, and then from there we won't be concerned about Great Britain. Now we're also trying to improve relations with Great Britain. As soon as we get them below poor, we'll probably just bankroll them, because that's fine. Alright, doing what is theoretically correct here is so unbelievably painful, because they're demanding that we transfer Persia. We can easily defend Persia, but actually just the ticketing negative relations with Great Britain is not worth it, because we're going to be able to annex Great Britain anyways. So we're just going to click accept and let them just take Persia from us, just like beat us over the head and take Persia for nothing. This will make it so that their attitude is generally better, because if they wanted Persia anyways, they would have wanted to fight us, and it's just super unfortunate, and we don't like doing that. We don't like doing that. And here we see Great Britain has started improving relations, which is going to be great for us. It's going to give us more ticking relations. Our trade agreement got broken, but with 2 ticking positive relations, we should be able to annex them soon. And I think we can even just wait for recognition before we do it, because we're getting closer to that as well. Alright, so while we were not able to use the Overlord grant state interaction, we can use the trade state interaction here to give them a state in one of the strategic regions that it needs to be in. In this case, it's in Dixie for offer confederation. And so maybe drawing this entire line wasn't necessary, but we drew the line anyways, because we like to draw. And here, now that they are in Dixie, in the strategic region, now all they need to become is independent, not a subject nation. Well, that should be pretty easy for them to become independent, because we will just grant them independence. Perfect. And now we will be able to annex Guatemala for free, good dealsies. And so we can do this with any contiguous country. So we're going to be trying to tear into Colombia pretty soon here. Colombia is a subject of ours, so let's see if we could just trade state and grant them. I don't think we can just grant straight away one of these things. Well, Connecticut, I think, is in one of these things. Yeah, they will not accept unless it is... I think they have to have an interest there, or I guess we have to draw a line in which they are connected by a sea node. And so maybe we can offer them Yucatan here. I'm not sure exactly what the laws are, the laws of the deal, which allows us to give them free stuff, which they wouldn't want to take because they could just get annexed. But if we can find Yucatan in here, I said if we can find Yucatan in here, will they take Yucatan? They will take Yucatan, so we'll give them Yucatan. And then we will, I think it's by seed node it's appearing to be, and so now we will just say, hey, would you also like Louisiana? Great that this appears to actually be alphabetized now. We'll just grant them Louisiana. Perfect. And now I believe we have really good relations with them because we've just been giving them free stuff. We don't. Somehow we don't. Alright. If we improve relations, let's do that. If we grant independence, does this give improved relations? It eliminates the improved relations mechanic. Would no longer improve relations. Okay, so we will just improve relations with Colombia until we can get them in, and then we will annex them because, of course, they have a state in Dixie, which is going to allow us to do this. By the way, the entire point of this is so that the Indian territory can do some cool stuff, but obviously you're not supposed to start as France and do Greenland and all this. So of the Canadian nations that we had good relations with, we just released and annexed them because we can, and then we have just gotten enough where we can annex Colombia here. So all we have to do is release them. We have above 20 relations. We'll grant them independence, and now forming, we can offer the Confederation just another little bit and annex them with one go here. So I think that what we're going to do here is, this is obviously absurd, hyper exploitative, and we're not even doing it perfectly, to be honest. I know that we have like 700 construction here, but we're not like super blasting, playing perfectly optimal in terms of the economy or anything like this, because I mean, what's the point? You can annex very nearly like anyone. I think that there's only a few. I think it's India we'll have to annex by hand, and Philippines also is not possible, but everyone else, there are various like culture bridges, some of which you get by releasing subjects. Like, for example, once we annex Russia, we would release a subject in Russia, although this presents interesting kind of problems, but we could just travel through here on the sea nodes to annex various other countries. So this is an absurd strategy and a kind of an absurd run, and so I think we're going to conclude here, and I'm not sure if we're going to continue the run. I'm going to look to release this pretty early after the release of Sphere of Influence, and if you guys want to see this continued, and if the save game is compatible, because the version I'm playing on will be slightly different than the live version, comment below if you want to see just, I guess, a world conquest using this strategy or something, because it's certainly possible, although world conquest is much easier now anyways. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. You know, super OP. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing, and other than that, have a good one.